A lot of people think Asian dogs are distant or weird, but that usually comes down to not understanding what's really going on with them. Under that calm, collected look, there are unique behaviors, old traditions, and adaptations people almost never talk about. In this video, I'm sharing 12 fun facts that bust a few myths and reveal sides of Asian dogs people rarely hear about. By the end, you'll see them totally differently. The oldest dog lineages trace back to Asia. It might surprise you, but with some Asian breeds, you're looking at something close to humanity's very first canine companions. The Saluki, for example, shows up in ancient rock art and archaeological finds from the Middle East going back more than 6,000 years. In those scenes, they're running alongside hunters and desert caravans, and they're often seen as one of the oldest living links to today's breeds. The Afghan hound, with that elegant silky coat, also shows up as one of the oldest breeds in genetic studies. Farther south, the Indian pariah dog has lived alongside people for at least 4,500 years, with far less influence from modern selective breeding. There are other ancient breeds outside Asia, like Africa's Basenji, but a lot of the most primitive lineages are concentrated across the Middle East, Central Asia, and South Asia. When one of these dogs looks at you, it can feel like thousands of years of history are looking right back. Asian breeds tend to split into territorial guardians and silent hunters. If you compare a Chow Chow snoozing at the doorway of a Chinese home with a Thai Ridgeback tracking through the jungle, it feels like they're speaking two different languages. And honestly, they kind of are, because they were developed for completely different jobs. In walled villages, dogs like Chow Chows and Shar Peis worked as stay-put guardians, watching courtyards, storage areas, and livestock pens for anything that felt off. Their job wasn't to chase prey, it was to hold territory and deter trouble just by being there. Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, people needed fast, light, quiet dogs that could move with hunters through thick vegetation. That's where the Thai Ridgeback comes in, with that athletic build, along with pariah-type dogs that could slip through like shadows. Some are the wall, others are the scouts, and you can still hear that history in their temperament today. Some Asian breeds can act more like cats than dogs. The first time you live with a Shiba Inu or a Chow Chow, you might think they got the memo wrong and showed up as a cat. They don't jump on everyone, they don't beg for attention non-stop, and they can spend hours just watching from their favorite spot. That cat-like dignity isn't random. There's a reason for it. For centuries, breeds like the Shiba Inu, the Akita Inu, and the Chow Chow were selected to guard quietly or make calls on their own while hunting. People didn't reward the clingy dog, they rewarded the one that stayed calm and didn't waste energy for no reason. That's why today they tend to be clean, independent, and pretty selective about touch. When they want cuddles, they'll come to you. When they don't, they'll stay nearby, just not on top of you. It's not coldness, it's just a different vibe. Less fireworks, more quiet respect, and a little more personal space. Many Asian dogs form an almost one-person bond. In a lot of stories about Asian dogs, one pattern keeps popping up. They pick one person and make them their whole world. Akitas, Korean Jindos, and Rajapalayams often develop what people call a one-person bond. It doesn't mean they can't handle the rest of the family, but their emotional radar locks onto one specific person. They'll follow their person, protect them, and read them like they can practically read minds. That kind of intense loyalty has a downside. They can be wary of strangers or visitors who get too close, too fast. With good socialization, they can do great with people, but they rarely spread their affection evenly. For them, loyalty isn't general, it's personal. Asian breeds have long been guardians of the home and family. Picture a night on the Tibetan plateau, wind, bitter cold, and total darkness. In the middle of camp, a Tibetan Mastiff might look relaxed, but they're clocking every sound. A lot of Asian dogs were bred for exactly that, being the first and last line of defense for the home. Tibetan Mastiffs, Tosa Inus, and Korean Jindos developed a strong sense of territory. They know who belongs to their family and who doesn't. They don't waste energy barking at every little thing, but if something feels off, they'll put themselves between you and the threat without hesitation. In modern homes, that instinct is still there. With good training and early socialization, they can become steady, balanced guardians who know the difference between welcome guests and real danger. What's just a house to us can feel like a temple to them, something they're built to protect, no questions asked. They'll solve the problem first, then decide if they'll listen. If you try to train a Shiba Inu like a border collie, you'll quickly realize you're dealing with a different kind of intelligence. A lot of Asian dogs weren't selected to obey instantly. They were selected to make smart calls on their own. The Hokkaido, for example, had to face big game in dense forests and couldn't wait around for step-by-step instructions. The Formosan mountain dog helped indigenous communities in Taiwan hunt through jungle terrain, knowing when to push forward, when to circle, and when to alert. That stubbornness people talk about is often just a dog thinking for themselves. If an order seems pointless, they just won't do it. They do best when they understand the why, and it feels like teamwork, not blind obedience. With them, you're not training soldiers, you're building a partnership with a dog who's got their own judgment, They communicate more with eye contact and body language than barking. In the West, we're used to dogs that say everything with barking, jumping, and non-stop wagging. With many Asian breeds, it's different. Their main language is body language. An Akita stepping sideways between you and the door is saying a lot without making a sound. A Shiba Inu turning their head and narrowing their eyes might be setting a boundary for how much petting they want. These dogs were shaped in cultures that valued calm and restraint, so their signals tend to be subtle. Technically, it's nonverbal communication, posture, muscle tension, where they're looking, and tiny micro movements. Once you learn to read it, you'll realize a chow chow that looks serious might be totally comfortable, or a jindo standing still at the entrance could be warning you about something outside. They're masters of the silent message. In Asian culture, some dogs are tied to legends, temples, and spiritual symbolism. In many Asian traditions, dogs don't just protect homes, they protect what people believe you can't see. In Tibetan monasteries, for example, Lhasa Apsos and Tibetan terriers moved among monks and altars like little guardians, barking to alert everyone to anything unusual. They weren't just pets. They were seen as living good luck charms. In Buddhist and Tibetan art, they appear alongside sacred figures, reinforcing that idea of a bridge between worlds. Look at China and Japan, and you'll find something similar. Dogs inspiring statues, myths, and stories where loyalty, vigilance, and courage become spiritual virtues. Behind each of these dogs, there's a practical job and a symbolic one too, protecting the home, the temple, and, as many believed, the souls of the people inside. Hachiko's story shows just how loyal an Akita Inu can be. To really get what loyalty looks like in an Akita Inu, you have to know Hachiko's story. Hachiko was born in 1923 in northern Japan in a region called Akita, and was adopted soon after by Professor Hidesaburo Ueno in Tokyo. Every morning, Hachiko walked the professor to Shibuya Station, and every afternoon, Hachiko came back to wait on the same platform. In 1925, the professor died suddenly and never returned, but Hachiko kept showing up almost every day for about 9 years, until 1935. Shop owners and commuters began to recognize Hachiko, feed them, and spread the story until a statue went up and all of Japan embraced Hachiko as a national symbol. Since then, Hachiko has become the symbol of just how deep and long-lasting an Akita's bond can be. Those Asian lion dog statues were inspired by real dogs. At the entrances of temples and homes across East Asia, you'll often see two figures staring you down. They look like lions, but there's something dog-like about them. They're the famous guardian lion dogs, like the Fu dogs in China, or the Shisa in Okinawa. These sculptures likely came from blending the lion as a Buddhist symbol with real guardian-type dogs, like Asian mastiffs and small lion dogs, such as the Pekingese. Artists amped up the mane, paws, and facial features to project strength and spiritual authority. They almost always appear in pairs. One has an open mouth to drive out bad luck, and the other keeps their mouth closed to hold in prosperity. People place them on doors, rooftops, and gateways as a barrier against negative energy. Behind every statue is a simple idea, turning loyalty into protection you can see. The Shar Pei almost went extinct. It's hard to imagine when you see a Shar Pei at the park, but this breed almost disappeared. After China's Cultural Revolution, owning a dog was seen as an unnecessary luxury, and at times, even something suspicious. Many were killed, and the Shar Pei survived only in small pockets, mostly in rural areas and in Hong Kong. In the 1970s, a breeder named Matko Law sent a desperate letter to U.S. dog magazines and kennel clubs asking for help saving the breed. That emergency call rallied breeders, who imported a few dogs and started carefully managed breeding programs. For a while, people even called them the rarest dog in the world. But thanks to that coordinated effort, Shar Peis didn't stay stuck in history books. They made it back into homes around the world. Why chow chows have blue tongues? Nothing throws people off like seeing a chow chow up close and noticing that dark blue tongue that looks painted on. Traditional Chinese stories say that at the beginning of the world, this dog licked the sky as the gods created it, and the stain never went away. The scientific explanation comes down to melanin, the pigment that darkens soft tissue, and it's especially concentrated in the tongue tissue of these breeds. In chow chows and Shar Peis, that melanin clusters in the tongue, creating that bluish, almost black color. It's such a signature trait that it's used to identify the breed. The key thing to know is it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's just part of their normal anatomy. Now we've covered the 12 most surprising fun facts about Asian dogs. Next, I recommend you watch the video that's on your screen. In it, I share the 15 most fascinating fun facts about Nordic dogs. Tap the image to jump to the video and keep exploring the world of dogs.